You can't stop the fear from knocking, but you can certainly stop opening the door. Am I right? So anxious attachment runs on a cycle that feels automatic until the Holy Spirit teaches you how to interrupt it, right? And here's what the cycle usually looks like. It starts out with a trigger, a delayed text, a shift in tone, a moment of silence, or a feeling of distance, right? And then fear rises. You feel like, oh, I'm losing them, or I did something wrong, or they're pulling away from me, right? And then comes the reaction, the clinging, the over-explaining, the constantly checking in to see if they've responded to your text, right? Or texting them a million times over, right? And you're trying to fix something that hasn't even happened, right? Then there's temporary relief. They respond, they reassure you, and then that panic settles. But it's only for a moment. Am I right? Because then that cycle repeats itself all over again. You have the trigger, you have the fear, you have the reaction, you have the relief, repeat, right? And so this is the anxiety cycle. And it feels really powerful because it feels familiar, right? But here's the truth. You can absolutely break this, right? You break the cycle by first noticing the trigger before that fear takes over, right? You break it by pausing, and even if it's for 5 seconds, to ask yourself, is this fear from now, or is it something that stems from my past, right? You break it by grounding yourself in truth instead of spiraling into endless assumptions, right? You break it by choosing a new response and not reacting from a place of panic, but responding from a place of peace. Then you break it by letting the Holy Spirit speak louder than your fear, right? Because your fear says that you're about to be abandoned, but God says, I will never leave you, right? Your fear says you have to hold on tight, but God says, guess what? You are held. You're held by our Father in heaven, right? Philippians 4:7 says, the peace of God will guard your heart and your mind. And that means that peace can absolutely interrupt that cycle. And peace can replace your panic. And peace can become your new normal, right? Breaking the anxiety cycle is never about not feeling fear, because that's absolutely impossible. But it's about refusing to let that fear lead you, right? So here's a reflection question. What part of the anxiety cycle do I get stuck in? And what new response is God inviting me to choose, right? You don't break the cycle by trying harder, guys, okay? You break it by choosing truth over fear, moment by moment.